And we're back one more time with another episode of
The Horror Guys.
That's Us. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And as usual, what do we got?
We got 4 movies and a short.
Whoa. Who knew?
Episode 209.
This week we have a couple of new ones. We've got Soft and Quiet.
Brand
So it's
new.
like Silent and Deadly?
No, this is different. No,
Okay.
That's a different meaning.
The Menu. Makes me hungry just thinking about it. Sator. What do we even say about that one?
It was strange and interesting.
Very, very.
Yeah.
And-
And a Wounded Fawn.
Yeah. Couple of out in the woods movies today.
Yep.
All right. And those are the 4 we're going to talk about, plus a short. And as usual, over at horrorbulletin.com, we've got 2 bonus movies. We're going to look at David Cronenberg's The Brood from 1979.
Brood. Weird children. Very weird.
Very weird children. And very weird Oliver Reed.
And where did they get all the little snowmobile suits, the snow suits?
They sell winter
That's something I
clothing
thought
for
about.
kids.
No, that's something I thought about afterwards, but they were all matching. You know, she's just spontaneously spitting out these weird little creatures, and they just happen to have snowsuits that all match in primary colors for all of them.
Well, this was 1979, so
identical
probably
scarves
J.C.
and-
Penney was having a sale.
Okay, and they bought them in bulk. And if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You probably have seen at least some of the scenes from that movie
But
anyway.
that was one of the points I thought about afterwards. They're all dressed identically in the same snowsuits.
I don't think they
She
came
didn't
in
give
those
bir-
suits.
She didn't give birth to those. No.
And we're also going to look at the brand new 2022 movie, Hypochondriac.
Kind of a psychological drama.
Hypochondriac, mental. Yeah, you got to wonder.
Yeah,
Okay.
right there from the title.
Speaking of kind of mental, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
we did episode number 4.
Oh, I don't remember that. It's been too
I
long.
bet you remember the movies.
What? What do we see?
Darkness Falls.
Oh, yeah.
I liked that one.
Yeah, it's still one of my favorites of all time.
It's kind of low rated overall if you look at other people's reviews,
It
but
is,
I liked
but
it.
yeah,
The Tooth Fairy.
I like it a lot, yeah.
And Hereditary.
Which I'm awfully about still.
Yeah, we've seen it
people-
again since this time.
People rave about it, and it's on a lot of favorites lists and memorables lists, and I think it was okay.
People are saying like it's the greatest movie of all time. It's in their top 10. And
Yeah. I did enjoy it more.
I tolerated
the
it more the
viewing of
second
it.
time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more the second viewing.
I think it's a horror movie for people who don't like horror movies. Just like Midsummer.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's not for horror fans.
Yeah. But anyway.
But if you are a horror fan, you might want to check out the 16th monthly issue of Horror Bulletin.
Hot diggity.
Go over to horrorguysshop.com or horrorguys.com/books and pick that up. It's got all the reviews from last month in a nice little print magazine,
Very sharp looking.
or you can get it as an ebook and make it all in one place. All right, so, I guess we have...
Very soft and quiet now. Shh. We're going to very softly, quietly talk about this 2022 movie that's so new that we aren't going to spoil it very much.
Boy, there's not a lot we can say about this one. This is a really good one to go into blind.
Yes,
it
it
really
is.
is. We'll give you the non-spoiler free, but we'll give you the spoiler free here in a minute, and then maybe you should fast forward a little bit after you've seen it. Okay, Soft and Quiet 2022 was directed by Beth D'Arau and written by her also. Stars Stephanie Estes, Olivia Lucardi, and Dana Milliken. Hour and 31 minutes.
There's a trailer in the show notes.
Yeah. Olivia Lucardi, she was the little short loudmouth one. She looked familiar to me from somewhere else, but I don't think any of these other people had been in anything we'd seen before.
I didn't look up what else she's been in.
Nothing I recognize right off the bat.
Okay.
Spoiler free.
Spoiler free. Well, this one is skillfully done as a continuous take in real time.
And you know what? You remember that movie 1917 that was all in one take, supposedly?
Yeah.
This is the same kind of thing. And you know what? That's probably the least memorable part of this movie.
Well, knowing that at the beginning, it was really noticeable at the beginning, following along, but then it starts going like, oh, yeah, I forgot to notice. I forgot to pay attention
That's
to that.
not the highlight of the movie. It's really
isn't.
not.
Yeah, but it is really done because they go to multiple locations and, yeah, it's just continuous.
One take.
Yeah. It makes it really interesting, and it's not a typical horror film. things start out calmly and normally and go off the rails, and it just gets worse and worse as it goes along. And it's uncomfortable to watch. It's worth sticking with it to see where things end up.
Yeah, and you read like some of the horror movie message boards, and a lot of people are saying they couldn't finish it. They had to stop partway through
Because it made them uncomfortable, and I can see why.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well I'm
hard watch.
gonna stop before we get into any real spoilers. Mm-hmm. But we start off with Emily taking a frantic pregnancy test and soon end up crying. Is she or isn't she? Well, we're not sure. She leaves the restroom and heads back inside the school. She's a teacher. She steps outside again to talk to little Brian, whose mother is late picking him up from school. She's written a children's book, and she lets him read it. Knowing what we know later, I'm very curious about what is in that book.
I'd like to see that.
Well, the janitor goes into the classroom, and Emily tells little Brian to go inside and tell this Hispanic janitor not to mop until the classroom is empty. And we wonder at this point, why couldn't she tell her that? Tell the janitor that herself? And besides, the classroom was empty at that point. They were outside.
Well, I think that she had mopped when he was still in there, and he had to walk across a wet patch of floor.
We saw her walk in after Brian was already outside.
Oh, it was after?
No,
okay.
There was nothing to this.
Okay.
As he goes inside to do Emily's dirty work, Brian's mother shows up and asks what he's doing. Emily lies and says Brian almost slipped and hurt himself, which he didn't. She says she's trying to get Brian to be more assertive, and Brian's mom is grateful for the lesson, and he and his mother soon go home. See, and I thought there was going to be more to it than that.
No.
Well, Emily walks down a path carrying a pie for some friends. She declines a collect call from Jeff, who is a prison inmate. Credits roll. Did that go anywhere?
No.
I don't remember
not
the
really.
prison thing doing anything.
No, I think it was mentioned.
Well, another woman passes her on the trail. She says she's here to meet Kim. Emily is here to meet Kim also, but doesn't know this woman whose name is Leslie. They talk as they walk, and they go upstairs into a church for their meeting. Emily unveils her pie, which is a very unusual pie, and I'm going to stop there.
And they eat pie, and then they talk, and things happen.
Things happen, yeah. And that's about the vaguest we can go without giving this one away.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so yeah, soccer moms in elementary schools are just the worst, aren't they?
Sometimes they are.
All right, well, this is a whole different kind of horror. It starts off a little weird with that janitor thing, and then we see the pie, and it just gets worse and worse from there. For a long while, I thought it would just be the women sitting around talking in their club meeting, but it went all kinds of strange places after that.
And still in a continuous shot.
All in real time, in one take.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
They probably wasn't literally.
Probably
they
not.
cheat,
No, yeah.
But it looks like it.
It's way too complicated for them to have really done it all in one take.
Oh, it's amazing though, seeing some behind the scenes how much they can fake it and keep it moving and change things and stuff. But anyway, yeah, that's the impression we have.
Yeah, it all looked like one shot for sure.
It does. Yeah.
There's no real soundtrack here, and there's lots of screaming. Still, it's tense, and you have to keep with it to see how far out of control things can actually get. At least I thought it was really good, but it'll make you uncomfortable as well, so it's a pretty awesome film.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I'm going to go best of the week, though.
No.
Because next up we have...
I'm going with the next one as the next best of the week.
What is the next one?
The Menu, a delicious film, also from 2022, which was directed by Mark Mylod, written by Seth Rice and Will Tracy, stars Rafe Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Nicholas Hoult, and a lot of other faces you'll recognize too.
I think those were the only three I recognized.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, there were other recognizable faces, and I couldn't tell you their names because I'm terrible with names. But
okay.
Yeah, the older guy and the actor guy, and yeah. And
the actor guy.
The actor guy's date.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo, yeah.
Yes.
And his date, and most of them are.
The older woman was Judith Light from Who's the Boss?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm coming back to me now.
They're brought together for a nice dinner at an hour and 47 minutes, and there's a trailer in the show notes.
Spoiler free. Course by course, this delicious movie unfolds. There's lots of dark humor, social commentary, impotent rage, and outright horror. It's got a strong cast and good direction, and it's a winner.
It is.
It looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's not much in the way of any kind of special effects in this, but it's very sharp. It's very colorful, and you can almost smell the food.
There's some special effects moments.
Oh, there are, yeah.
Yeah.
Not big, gaudy ones.
But mostly it's just a dinner.
Yeah, mostly, yeah. Okay, without spoiling it entirely, what happens?
Well, Margot and Tyler talk about tonight. He tells her not to smoke because that'll ruin her palate for later. It's a group of people. They're all kind of gathering, getting ready for the boat because there will be less than a dozen people there. It's a super expensive trip.
I think he said $1,250 per person.
Mm-hmm. Out to an island where there's a very exclusive restaurant. So it's a small group of famous influencers and powerful people. And Tyler is really, really into food. And Margot, she's kind of normal gal. She's just kind of along as his date. He's very uptight about the experience they are about to have and wants to make sure everything goes right and perfectly.
He wants to impress the chef.
Yes.
He's a foodie and he wants to be friends or something.
Well, upon arrival, Elsa, the hostess, takes the group over a quick tour of the Hawthorne Island. It's all very pretentious. There's a whole staff who live on the island, and they all live for cooking. Chef holds himself to the highest standard, and so do we, Elsa brags. And everyone there knows all the guests' names. Well, exclusive.
For that kind of money, you should know who the guests are going to be.
Except Margot is a wild card. She's a replacement date for Tyler, and Chef looks at her with concern. She's a change he wasn't informed about, and he's really planned every detail of the meal. So, he's very meticulous about this. And as they all eat, we see that most of the guests are rich, pretentious snobs. Well, some of them. There's all sorts. And Tyler tells Margot how he idolizes Chef. Well, the chef introduces himself. He's Julian Slowik, and explains how the evening will proceed. Do not eat, taste, he says. And Tyler, he literally tears up listening to Chef's speech. Just beautiful speech. And after a fancy seafood dish, they get breadless bread plate. It's just the sauces, and the chef has this long spiel about bread and lack of bread. So it's just little splotches of sauce without the bread. Well, Tyler is a fanboy. Margot is trying to understand it all, and she plays along as best she can. When she doesn't touch her imaginary bread, Chef comes over and asks her what the problem is. Should we keep going?
One more.
Okay. Well, the older couple, they keep looking at Margaret, and she says that Margot seems familiar, but the man insists they don't know her. And it's obvious to us that he does know her. Chef tells a story about stabbing his father in the leg with kitchen scissors to defend his abused mother when he was a kid. And so they serve up a chicken thigh with scissors stuck in it.
Well, that's kind of weird.
He's making this a very personal meal, too.
Yeah, and it gets a lot more personal as it goes along.
Oh, does it ever? Yeah, and personal and weirder. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to stop there.
Yeah, we should.
But we are going to point out that this is probably both of our number one pick for the week.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Well,
although I like Soft and Quiet a lot, this one is probably is a lot more fun.
It's my favorite so far that I've seen in 2023.
Ooh.
So far.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I should point out, very soon now, probably in the next day or two, we're going to have our bonus episode 210, where we both talk about our favorite top 10 movies of 2022. My top 10, Kevin's top 10. Mm-hmm. Will they match or will they be completely different?
There were 70-some 2022 movies that came out in 2022 that we saw.
As of 2 weeks ago, when I made the list, there were 74 of them. There's probably been like 6 or 7 more that we've seen since.
That we saw in the calendar year of 2022.
Okay, all right.
So, that's our perimeter.
All right, back to the menu. I had assumed going into this that it was going to be another cannibalism movie, but it's not. It totally wasn't that at all. No humans were eaten in the making of this film.
Nope.
None. It's hilarious. It pokes fun at all the pretentious food people, both inside the kitchen and out. Some of the dishes look absolutely delicious, but probably not for the price these people are paying.
Oh, and it's not just money.
Yeah. I liked that the chef was crazy, but not too crazy. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The set, the music, and acting are all excellent. The food looks great. Best of all, it was not what we were expecting. Were you expecting cannibalism?
I was.
Yeah, it's not that. It's
not
really
that.
not that.
Yeah.
Short film. What'd we watch?
From Where It Hides from 2022.
Yeah, written and directed by Quinn Halleck. Stars Gildart Jackson and Bonnie Morgan. 9 minutes and 7 seconds. What happens?
I really loved the makeup in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool
It
effect.
really looks good overall, all the way
does.
through every bit of it.
Yeah. Well, a man has checked himself out of the hospital, and he's getting many concerned calls. We hear voicemails and frantic calls from the hospital and his daughter before he destroys his phone in the woods.
Apparently, I guess he's, dying. I'm assuming
He's
cancer or
coughing up
something
blood.
like that.
He's
Yeah.
coughing up blood. So,
But then he climbs a
serious.
mountain, which is awful exerting.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. He's on his deathbed and leaves the hospital.
Against doctor's recommendation. He asks, "What if you knew the day you were going to die? There is a place deep in the forest where death hides. I am not the first to try to find death." He writes in his diary and climbs up the mountain to an old mine. What's he going to find in there?
I'm guessing death, but
That's what he's looking for. Yeah.
maybe not. Maybe not.
Well, this was a really excellent looking film. Great cinematography, lighting, and sets. Makes the film a lot of fun to watch.
When he goes into the mine, it's dark inside a mine, obviously.
But you can still see stuff.
And you can
'cause
still
it's so
see stuff because the
skillfully
lighting
filmed.
is right. Yes.
Yeah, they did that right. Yeah. And the narrator's voice is perfect for this as well. The creature effects is really outstanding, and whatever happens in the story itself is.
Overall, really good.
Yeah, big thumbs up.
And of course, there's a link in the show notes to watch this one on YouTube for free.
For free.
Next movie? What else?
Sator, 2019, which was written and directed by Jordan Graham. Stars Michael Daniel, Rachel Johnson, and Aurora Love. What a great name. Runtime is 1 hour and 25 minutes, and there's a trailer on the show notes from YouTube.
All right. Well, this was your movie. You chose this one, so I'll let you read the big one. Spoiler-free. Mental illness or a monstrous force plaguing a family? Maybe some of both. It's intriguing to watch it and decipher what's really going on here. The acting is good, and the scenery is amazing. There are long stretches without dialogue, and that only adds to the strangeness. It's a good one overall.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just kind of found this on random, and here it was. Well, we begin with an interview with an old woman who talks about Sator, S-A-T-O-R.
But before we get into the story too much, this old woman is the director's grandmother in real life. And supposedly, this whole story that she tells about Sator, which is like this demon thing that lives in the woods, she honestly believed this and spent time in a mental hospital herself over it. In real life, she believed it and went to the hospital. And then he based this movie around her stories. At least according to the trivia. Whether that's true or not, I couldn't say, but that's the official story.
It certainly looked real.
Okay, so tell us what's going on then.
Well, she says he's in charge of everything. Old Nanny writes her story, which includes some of the credits, which I thought was neat.
She writes the credits, yes.
Yeah. The camera walks us through her creepy old candle-filled house. We cut to someone pouring gasoline on a body and igniting it, and she then levitates above the flames. Adam walks through the woods with his gun. We see Adam walking through the woods a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of Adam in this one.
He blows through some kind of animal call whistle, but nothing shows up. He listens to a tape of Mother on the tape talking about Sator. Everything that moves is his. He makes a covenant of peace with the animal, she says. He lives there in a cabin with his dog. Pete walks in, drinks some moonshine. Pete says he's got something in his head that he wants out. Adam watches video from his trail cams, but it doesn't seem to work. Pete thinks the card is messed up, and we gradually learn that they're brothers. And the two of them go up to the big house to look through grandfather's stuff, because maybe he had another memory card for the camera. So we flash back to Pete and Nanny talking about her failing memory. Evie talks to Adam, introducing herself, but he doesn't speak. And we hear Mother on the tape again. When you summon Sator, he turns his attention to you. Trust him completely. You will be tested, for he is the consuming fire. After you have suffered a little while, he will refine, make you pure. Well, the dog growls at something in the darkness outside, and Adam sees a light in the deep woods. Next morning, Adam retrieves the memory card from the camera and watches it. We see more flashbacks where Nanny doesn't recognize Pete. She's really going mentally. And he talks to her, though, about sensing spirits. She used to do automatic writing, and she has a guardian spirit, Sator. Pete can't believe this old lady holds on to that story above all else. Well, then there's more of Adam in the wilderness using the cams to see if he can get an image of Sator out there. And we hear that Evie was Pete's wife before the accident. There's an accident that's alluded to. Lots of stuff was alluded to you kind of have to piece together, and they flash back and forth. It's kind of interesting how they do it. Well, Adam still talks to Evie. She's glad Pete made it out of the accident okay, and she's sorry about Adam's mom. Was anybody ever able to find her? And there are several mentions of Deborah, who seems to be Adam and Pete's sister.
You want to stop there?
We could.
Yeah.
Because the rest is going to spoil it.
Yeah.
We shouldn't. Because it's neat how it wraps up.
Yeah. And Sator is Sator.
Not Sator.
Not Satyr. Not one of them little Greek goat men things. This is something else.
Uh-huh.
Insanity, mass delusion, actual monster. There are long stretches with no dialogue, which adds to the sense of isolation and loneliness that Adam experiences out in the woods. The scenes where people talk are really well done, but there's an awful lot of time where it's just Adam doing stuff in the woods, mostly in the dark. The scenery is awesome. I'd love to live there, even with a monster roaming the woods. Very picturesque. The time jumps start getting a little confusing. There are flashbacks. Some of the flashbacks are in black and white or in a different aspect ratio, but not all of them. It was kind of sometimes hard to tell what was going on right now.
I think they did that on purpose to confuse us.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. It's very weird. I'm not sure that I understood a lot of it. My understanding from reading the trivia is that Nanny was the director's real-life grandmother, and most of the interviews and stuff with her were real. She actually believed in Sator and spent time in an institution because of it. And I guess they designed the rest of the film around that. Or at least that's the story. It may just be marketing spiel.
Either way, it's a good movie.
Believe it or not.
You should check it out.
Yeah. And then there was one more from this year, A Wounded Fawn, directed by Travis Stevens, written by Nathan Fodry and Travis Stevens, stars Sarah Lind, Josh Rubin, and Malin Barr. Hour and 31 minutes, trailer in the show notes. This one was on Shudder. Spoiler-free, what happens?
This one gives you some early warning of what's going to happen, but then other things happen too, and things go off the rail when madness meets magic and the lines really blur. It's really interesting and well done.
You can kind of know where the movie's going before the opening credits.
Kind of.
But it's still fun getting there.
Yeah.
Well, an auctioneer talks about old gods who are summoned for revenge for crimes against the innocent. It's an auction for statues of these deities, and no one knows who made those old sculptures, but it's really, 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 really old. The bidding is competitive, almost entirely done by stand-ins talking to rich buyers on their phones. And the win eventually goes to Kate Horna. She takes the little statues home, planning to deliver them to her buyer in the morning. But then the doorbell rings. It's Bruce, the main guy who is bidding against her on the sculptures. He said his buyer decided they really want the artwork, and he offers her double what she paid, plus a personal bonus. She invites him in while she calls her buyer for permission to take the deal. We see that his hands are shaking, and suddenly the bathroom light turns red. Bruce sees that there's some kind of monster in there, and then he kills Kate. And then I think credits roll about that point. That was early on.
And that's a cool monster that he sees. It's
some kind of owly-looking
giant
thing.
Owl god thing. Yeah.
We cut to a therapy session where Meredith talks about calling the cops on her ex. Later, she goes to the art museum with two friends. She tells them that she has a date tonight, which, according to her friend's reactions, seems to be a rare thing. It's time for her date, and we see that it's Bruce.
More casually dressed this time.
Same guy.
Yep.
They talk about art and relationships on their drive. They're going to go away to his place in the country for the weekend. Oh, never do that. Never do that.
On a first date.
Yeah.
Practically first date.
Yeah.
They really don't know each other very well at all. Yeah.
She obviously doesn't know she's in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, she wants to stop for snacks and a pee, but he asks her to be patient. They're almost there. Almost as if he doesn't want anyone to see that she's in the car with him.
Uh-huh.
They eventually arrive at his isolated house in the woods, and as she grabs her suitcase, she hears someone say, "Leave." There's no one around, which she thinks is weird.
Kind of, yeah.
She spots the sculpture on his living room table and is impressed, but he tells her it's a reproduction. She recognizes it from when it came through her museum for authentication, and texts her friend from the museum about it. As Bruce makes dinner, Meredith starts seeing strange things around the house. Is she hallucinating? She seems to think so. Meanwhile, Bruce's hands start shaking, and he quietly complains, "Not yet." We see that there is someone outside. She sees it, and Bruce doesn't really argue with her about it. She wants to leave, but he's not cooperative. She packs up her stuff and threatens to call for a ride share. Meredith's museum friend calls back and tells her, "Get the hell out of there." The statue was stolen, and the woman who had it disappeared. Meanwhile, Bruce sees the big red owl monster again. "Okay, it's time," he says. And bad things happen from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh. And that's probably where we should stop with that one. We got to start doing old movies that we can read the whole thing.
We can completely spoil them.
Well, I wasn't expecting much from the movie's description and poster, but this was really interesting and very tense all the way through. We aren't quite sure what's going on with Bruce, and sometimes he seems almost sympathetic, like maybe he's kind of a victim here himself.
And and you wonder what monsters are real and what's in their heads, and
It's something of a feminist film. It's something of a folk horror film. It's mostly a revenge story, as the dead women Bruce has killed turn against him. Still, Bruce is probably the longest, most drawn-out death throes I've ever seen. Well, that was kind of a spoiler. He dies in the end.
Oh.
I'm sure that shocks no one.
Yeah.
But his death throes continue through the entire end credits.
Mm-hmm.
He dies hard.
Yeah, he does.
All right, and that's the ones for this week. I think we liked them all, didn't we?
We did like them all.
Yeah.
We at least liked them all. Yeah.
Totally. We both absolutely thumbs up on the menu.
Yes.
Totally both thumbs up on Soft and Quiet.
Yeah.
We both thumbs up on A Wounded Fawn. And what was the other one?
Sator.
Oh, Sator. It was all right.
It was. I think I liked it better than you did, but yeah, we both did.
I liked it. I'm just not going to rave on it.
Okay.
And the short film, we both really liked that one. From Where It Hides, 2022. Actually, it was just released on YouTube this morning, so it's fresh and new.
Ooh.
Not Soft and Quiet, fresh and new.
Fresh and new. Right.
All right, well, tune in next week when we'll have 4 more movies and a short for you.
We will.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.